What's a rich people thing that rich people don't know is a rich people thing? I dated a guy whose folks were really rich. At one point, we were all riding around on his dad's speedboat on the lake where they had their million-something second home. We passed a big house that was somewhat bigger than the big house his dad and stepmom owned. His stepmom sighed softly and said, "I wonder how the other half lives. It must be nice." The VP of my company once asked me why I don't get a maid and laundry service when he overheard me mentioning about not having enough free time. If you grow up rich, it's pretty much everything. Essentially, it's atmosphere. My aunt's family was very well off. Her husband had a blue-collar background. The first time he saw her was the summer after his junior year of college, when he was part of a crew doing lawn work at her parents' house. They dated very briefly, but they had nothing in common. He busted his ass, got a few lucky breaks, and ended up with a very, very lucrative job. A few solid investments later, he was actually worth more than my aunt's whole family. 8 years later, he asked her out again. To hear him tell it, he took her to a really swanky restaurant with a long wait list that he managed to bypass thanks to a friend who knew the owner. As soon as they sat down, he said to her, "I always wanted to take you to a place like this." My aunt looked around the room, she looked at him, and she said, "A place like what?" To her it was just a restaurant. Spontaneity. They can randomly decide to do things without much planning, knowing that money will not be an issue. This applies from random fancy dinners to major trips out of the country. Booking a flight day of or so close to date, without a second thought. A friend of mine is a trust fund baby. She decided she wanted to hike the at, so she quit her very comfy job, bought all the gear, and flew to Virginia. She only made it a few weeks and got bored. Came back home and her dad found her another very comfy job. Hasn't been hiking since. I was floored by this. Another friend decided she wanted to be a dairy farmer, so she bought a farm in Kansas and got some cows. Then she had to hire a farm hand after 2 cows died because she didn't know they needed minerals. They just act so flippantly without care or thought.